dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me.
Good morning. You are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. I am Catherine Bell, and this is The Dream Journal, a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you. Today's music is called Mistfully, created new for you today by Rick Cleffel. Provides the background to the show, so sink in and enjoy. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. What would a world without shame be like? Today's guest is Santa Cruz sculptor Maren Sinclair Hurn. She describes how a dream inspired her to create faces that helped her come to terms with her shame of sexuality. This is Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to The Dream Journal. The Dream Journal is also a podcast, so you can look for that in all of your regular places. And also you can go to the KSQD website at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. And wherever you listen to The Dream Journal, review it and subscribe. Maybe give me 5 stars and tell your friends. It's a good opportunity for you to talk about dreams. And why not? Isn't that what you're curious about anyway? So, where do we begin today? I have a dream that I remembered a few days ago, which was just this strange dream of climbing up, but I repeat myself, strange dream. Strange and wonderful, as one of the songs we'll be hearing later. Strange and wonderful dream. This is, I'm climbing up the outside of a high-rise building, because why not? And I have a partner with me. And somehow there's some kind, I'm kind of going ledge to ledge, and I don't know how I'm getting up the glass faces, but there's some sense of rising up and climbing up. And it's a very, there's like a certain rate that's kind of the ideal rate for me to climb. That if I climb too fast, I start bumping up against these kind of control structures that are keeping me from climbing. And if I climb too slow, then I lose track of the people up ahead of me, because there's another couple, in fact, up ahead of me, up above me, climbing away. And so, I don't know, there's a lot here, but there's something here about pacing myself, perhaps. If I climb too fast, then I start bumping up into things. And if I climb too slow, then I'm alone. And I kind of like bored, maybe. There's some way I don't have myself, perhaps. So I'm just mulling this over, and I'm kind of imagining doing the Spider-Man on the outside of this building and scrambling over ledges. And there's no fear. It isn't scary, but I do feel like I'm rising higher and higher and seeing more and more of the city as I go. And it's just a question of finding the right pace. So, this is kind of a good metaphor for my life these days. So that's how I'm taking it. So we will be inviting call-ins during the last 20 minutes of the show, so you can get ready for that. You can also email us at any time at onair@ksqd.org. That's ONAIR at ksqd.org. So this is The Dream Journal, and I'm excited to have, for the first time in a long time, have an in-studio guest, Maren Sinclair Hurn. Hi, Maren.
Yeah. Hi, Catherine. It's actually Sinclair.
Oh, it's not the Hurn, just
Maren Sinclair Hurn.
Oh, did I say it? What did I say? I'm sorry. I said it wrong. Maren Sinclair Hurn. And it's important because that's Maren's website as well, is Maren Sinclair, Sinclair, Hurn.com, right? Okay, so that's her webpage in case you want to look her up. So, Maren gave me some information about her process that I'd like to read, and I'd like to introduce Maren to our listeners. It says, we came close to losing musician Carlos Santana to suicide because of his unresolved shame around being molested as a child. With Witness, he became whole again and shared his story with the world. Understanding her own shame began a few years ago when Maren dreamed of a 5-year-old girl eagerly flashing her eyelids. Each lid had been pierced with a nail. This dream was a disturbing image that she could not ignore and helped her get in touch with shame around her own sexuality. Maren will soon be sharing her sculptures in middle schools, where she hopes they will inspire frank discussions around shame. And as I mentioned, her webpage is MarenSinclairHurn.com. So, Maren, you are a sculptor, and you have a studio over at the Tannery, which is just down the street from us. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your journey with sculpting.
Let's see. I have always liked to make things. I was in the sandbox playing with sand as a child, touching. It is always important to me. Mm-hmm. And I did take one ceramic class at Monterey Peninsula College when I first moved here to California in 1971, and I dropped all my other classes and continued taking that ceramics class.
That was the one that really spoke to you.
And it was a hand building and the sculptural part that was most important to me. And I noticed that love, and I got distracted and did go through Cabrillo in the early childhood department and got a great job in it. And at when I was 29. I've always recorded my dreams it's just part of my life. Mm-hmm. And in my dream that night, there was a knock on the door. Mm. And I opened the door, and there was an old lady standing there, and she said, "Go to art school."
Talk about a message.
So it was actually a really wonderful time. I was sort of getting ready to be almost fired from my job because I was spending too much time in the art department at Cabrillo and not enough time working with the group to create a wonderful child care center up at the university. So I did go to Cabrillo then for 2 years. This is straight 2 years of art, maybe, and then transferred to UC Davis, where I was so lucky. There were actually Bob Arneson was still alive, and he got us into a ceramic studio. Once you're there a semester, you could work day and night there and fire everything for free. Mm. And so that got me hooked. Mm-hmm. And I then went on to 2 years up to Montana State, and I had 2 women professors and really quality education, and I was able to not do so much in ceramics then because I was pregnant with my first child the last year, and I focused on sculpture and came back to California after that and had the family life, and I've always had a studio ever since. I haven't made a living from my art, and it's just part of my life. Mm. I go into my studio and touch clay, mm-hmm. and lately it's been clay. Right. My next door neighbor sold me a really inexpensive kiln when she was moving to New Zealand, and here I go.
Yeah. So, do you find all along have you found that dreams inspired your sculpture, or is that fairly new?
Oh no, it's over and over again. I was just looking at a sculpture that I have hanging in my my living room, and it's of a face that only has one eye. And that was from a dream I had of a man or a figure coming up a stair with only one eye. And I thought, oh, that's really disturbing. So I made quite a few sculptures with one eye. And eventually I realized, I thought at first it had to do with just not using my peripheral vision, but just focusing on what's in front of me. And more I'm realizing that I do have a little bit of a swing to take care of people and look around and see how I can make them happy or make them comfortable, and or look around and see if there's some recycling that needs to be picked up off the levee or something like that. And I have to remember, I think that dream was about staying on task and not getting distracted. And over again, I've used other images in dreams.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, picking up trash on the levee is a wonderful thing, and taking care of others. But was there a cost to that?
It's called balance.
Balance.
I have to have balance.
Right. Well, we're often trained to pay attention to other people and to take care of those around us to the expense of our own health and wellness, and so that there can definitely be a balance between taking care of myself and taking care of other people. And I think perhaps as women, especially, we're trained to take care of others. And you were a child care specialist for a long time too. So that's really all focused on the children and taking care of those. And so you found that the dreams, like this dream of the Cyclops, if I don't know if you call it that, but that's like the one-eyed person was helping you come to terms with that sense of balance. Yeah. So wondering about so you came back to Santa Cruz after Montana. So that's a big switch to go to Montana.
Yeah, my husband at the time had a business in Santa Cruz, so it was obvious that we needed to come back.
Oh, I see. Because you've been in Santa Cruz since '71, and what is it that draws you to this area?
Well, my boyfriend brought me here. I followed him.
Oh, that's what started in '71. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I really didn't feel at home in California until '85 when I had my first child, and all of a sudden I felt, oh, I'm at home here. Yeah, because I left Arizona with a ugly divorce. Not ugly, but yeah, it was with my parents. And so I came out here to live with friends, and that's how I ended up at Monterey Peninsula College in '71.
Are you saying you divorced your parents, or you? Wait a minute, I didn't quite follow. You divorced? You came out with your parents?
No. Oh. They were getting a divorce. Oh. I lost my home. I came to California.
I see.
To a home that I knew would accept me while I got a job and a house. Yeah.
Well, there is something about having kids that does anchor you to a place. I found that with my child as well. And, when I had my divorce, my mother invited me to come back to New England. It's like, well, come home. I'm like, well, I'm not going to take my son away from his father. And, California is where I live and my friends are and his friends are. And it's been now 18 years or so. And it's my home for sure. And there is something about having the kids there. So you said something about dreaming since you were a teen, and that you've been very interested in your dreams. And you shared the one with the woman at the door. I wonder if you have the one at the door who said, go to art school. I wish we all had dreams so clear.
Yeah, my first dream was in my, I don't remember if it was, before I was 6 or something, or early on. And it was of this thumb protector that people use to switch through pages really quickly, and it was coming at me down a hall in the dark, and it was absolutely scary, and I worried about it, and I had it a couple times, but fortunately, and I want to dedicate this show to Amy Pine, who died about 2 years ago. And I went to her. She's a friend, and we have kids the same age. And this was, maybe 8 years ago or so, and I said, I had this dream, and I'm just worried that it had to do with my dad molesting me. And she looked at me, and she knows me really well, and she had worked with survivors all of her career of child sexual abuse, and she looked at me and she said, "No, you don't qualify." So that was a big relief.
And just how would she be able to determine that?
She's just worked with so many people and see how they behave on a daily basis that she just was very clear that no. But as a child, I think it really was about me being curious about penises and that I probably had seen my dad once naked or something and wondering about it, but it was sort of a shush thing in our house. You just didn't go around naked. And so I think, that must have sparked that dream. And also the whole thing about, my mom, well, I think I was about 6 or 5, and I asked her, where do babies come from? And she just said, "Oh, they come from love." And I remember slapping my hands together or something and saying, "No, there's got to be more." And she didn't elaborate, and it was obvious that I shouldn't ask. And it was just this, this secret world that we had to discover for ourselves.
Right. Yeah, there is something that's that the shame about sexuality is really intense in our culture and in many cultures. It's certainly true. And I want to go into this dream of yours, and maybe this dream about the nails and the eyelids, which I'm very fascinated by. Maybe let me have you tell the dream, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back and talk a little bit about that, if that's okay with you. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay.
It was only about 5 or 6 years ago that I had this dream, and a little girl, my daughter, at age about 5 or 6, she came down the hall in my dream, and she was flashing her eyelids, and just was so joyous and was like, "Look at me," and there were these nails that had pierced her eyelids, and she had done this somehow, and she was very happy about it. And I was horrified. I can't imagine what the head of a nail would do scratching against your interior eye, and I woke up and wrote the dream down.
Right. That's really eye-catching. No, disturbing. I mean, that's a very, very intense image. So we're going to talk some more about that image and how that started, Maren, on a project of sculpting faces, many of which have nails in the eyelids, and how that relates to the shame around sexuality. So you're listening to the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell, and this is The Squid. K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org and live in the Santa Cruz area at 90.7 FM. My guest today is Maren Sinclair Hurn.
Hold the reins, these gusty winds bring change. Hold the reins, these gusty winds bring change. Hold the reins, these gusty winds bring change. Strange and wonderful. Strange and wonderful.
Yeah, all right. You are listening to the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell, and in about 15 minutes, we'll be opening the phones for folks to call in. I'll give you the number to jot down, but don't call yet. Tony will be in pretty soon and answering the phones. That number is 831-900-5773. And this is the Dream Journal. We're talking today with Maren Sinclair Hurn about shame and sexuality and how dreams can help unravel the places in our life where we're stuck. And Maren is a sculptor. And you can also send emails at any time on air at ksqd.org. So, Maren, hello.
Hi.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you wanted me to talk about what I did with this dream about nails coming through a child's eyelid. Mm-hmm. And I started sculpting faces. I did one face that was from a body cast of my face, and then I realized, wow, I can do more faces than that, and this is sort of fun. And I found many photos of people, and I took them and created sculptures, and that it's a relief sculpture that hangs on the wall. And so it was a challenge to get a two-dimensional photograph into a three-dimensional object, and I loved that challenge, and I enjoyed working in the clay and figuring out how to help them survive through all the firings and glazings. And then I realized, well, that's not enough to put those out there. We got to have some stories. And stories is what I guess throughout history we've learned from stories, and the Bible, and et cetera, et cetera. And I created these very short, they're captions for each of the sculptures, and they talk about the different kinds of shame that we have in the world. Some of them are, for example, a shame of having your hair, you're just hating your hair, or as bad as having your brother give you a blowjob, or as easy as we think of perhaps having the wrong lips on our face, or it goes on and on. I delved into all the different kinds of shame, and so I tried to create these little captions with color and an idea behind each of those pieces of ideas of shame.
Right. What do you think what is it about shame, do you think, that is so prevalent in society here? What do you think is what is it about shame?
Oh, it's about a culture of perfectionism, and about a culture of not having vulnerability. And also I feel like it's also a culture of where we have to heal. I've learned it takes witness, and that means either friends or someone who hears you speaking those words, and you're getting that shame out into the world, and it's not only in my heart, in my stomach, in my head. It's also shared with someone else, so that I'm not alone. And I feel like that is the way that's the way 12-step programs work. You don't do it alone, you do it with a community. And so that's what I found out. And so I tried to create besides making these faces that are very disturbing with nails coming out of them, I try to give some ways that people can heal. Right. And I have staircases, and I have little paths that lead into the mountains, and they go under an arch that is called healing. And then I've also had this information that my son turned me on to. One of his teachers, David R. Hawkins, PhD, MD, his feeling was that we have shame because it works. It keeps us from being vulnerable. Oh. It keeps us from being shamed by other people. We just have to live with it, and then we can sort of fake it into the world, not being a whole person like Carlos Santana. But his idea is that you can always, this David Hawkins idea is that there's two sides. Shame actually helps people survive, and it's easier. It's an easier choice, but a more difficult choice is the healing that comes from having to transform this shame into something else. And that can be through, like I said, with other people witnessing. And he has an example, I did sculptures of all these. You can choose self-hatred, or you can choose self-forgiveness.
So these are some names of some of your sculptures?
Yeah, I try. So these are words. These are these abstract words, and I tried to make some sculptures with objects in them, or colors, or ideas that are in the form of 3 dimensions that would give people the same idea, so they don't have to know English to say, "Oh, that giant tornado on one side must mean, rigid self-view." And then you could have the other one as a bird's eye view, where you get a step back from that tornado, and there's a beautiful landscape down there. There is a tornado, but it's in perspective. It's not taking over the whole scene.
Right. Well, and my, what I'm thinking is that stepping back and getting a perspective on something is how we can help each other by actually sharing those things that are shameful, that feel like that nobody should ever see this, that we get so close to the things that it kind of takes over our life. But when we share it with somebody else, it allows us to step back and see the thing from a bit of a distance. And so perhaps we can have some self-forgiveness there as we see it, as if, treating ourselves as a little child. Like if somebody, would you want your friend to have to be all locked up inside? No, you'd want to help her feel more comfortable in the world. But shame, kind of by definition, is something that we don't want to share with anybody else.
Right.
So how do we make that transition to taking something that just feels totally impossible to share with anybody, but it can be so all-consuming? And how do you suggest people make a transition to find somebody they can talk to?
It's very interesting. I've had First Fridays open for 7 out of the last 9 months, and every time somebody will come up to me and say, "Oh, this is really important work," and one person said, and she talked to me for a long time, and she says, "I'm going to go home and talk to my friends about my shame." So. That I'm hoping that happens.
So your sculpture is one of the ways that people can start the conversation. Right. So I'm curious about have you thought a little bit about the difference between shame and guilt, because they are very different kinds of feelings, and they have, I've understood that shame is a very inward kind of thing, which can cause rage. Actually, can cause rage and blame because it's so painful a feeling. Whereas guilt is like, okay, I've done something wrong. I can fix it. There's like a sense of hope when there's guilt. Whereas shame, they say guilt is I've done wrong, whereas shame is I am wrong.
I think that's exactly it. It's actually in every pore of yourself, and it's hard to get rid of it. You have to, shake your body to get rid of it, and it's a slow process for me. I mean, I feel like I did the work with in my dream group with it. I did the art with it. I actually went to a therapist and these words came out of my mouth. My dad was doing the best he could.
Yes.
That was transformational. And I think I did that with the hypnotherapist. I only went 2 times to her, and I said out loud, my dad did the best he could, and it was a rather poor role model for my sexuality. Jump her out of this 39-year relationship into something new. So then the other thing that I got from the hypnotherapist was playfulness. That is a healing way too, is to be playful and just notice that I can be playful.
Of course, that's that's beautiful. Like, but how can I find ways to play? Like for me, dancing was very important for a long time, and singing still is very important. That those are kind of ways that I play. Like as an adult, I don't really know how to. Like as a child, I kind of felt frustrated that I didn't know how to play sometimes. But if it came to movement, then that's something I can relate to.
Yeah. So every time I talk to someone, I was actually exposing my shame, and that's vulnerable. And I survived. It was really hard to put up that show. I was really scared.
Right.
And every time I must say that other folks who are interested in my work and acknowledge that I have sculpture there that they want to talk about, or that is a healing process for me. So. Right.
So coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be playing a piece from Carlos Santana, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about Carlos Santana. I didn't realize that he had he attempted to commit suicide, or
well, he was like I said, he was about 10 or 11 when he told the whole story in his autobiography. How he got molested by an adult. And he actually told 2 people about it in middle school when he was up in San Francisco, but he never told anybody after that. And he married a very spiritual wife, and they didn't have kids for a while because they were deep spiritual people, and they did have children, and he became a famous musician. And then she, after over 30 years of marriage, she just came to him and said, "I'm leaving this marriage. You're not your whole self, and I'm out of here." And he had friends who were musicians that where he was in contact with, and they were very helpful. They noticed his deep dive, and they found 2 very good therapists up there in Marin County, I think. And he found out that indeed he was very disturbed, and he didn't share that with his wife. And then he wrote this book, and there's a whole, not a whole chapter, but a good couple pages that talked about his child molestation, and he's created a foundation to make the world a better place. So, and he's remarried and making more music.
That's great. Yeah. So but these things that we don't talk about, these things that we kind of bury away, and can really affect the course of our entire life.
Yeah, it is. It's like a lot of energy can go into pushing down.
And somehow the dreams seem to get in, and when we're ready to start to open something up, I like to think of the dreams as showing where the fault lines are. When we're starting to change, when we're ready to change. I'm going to go to a break here in a minute, and afterwards we're going to talk about more specific things, specific themes in Maren's dreams. I've been sharing dreams with Maren for a long time, and it's been really amazing to see the way things have changed and to see the evolution. And that's one of the beautiful things about working with people or sharing dreams with people for over a period of time, is to get to see how each other's inner worlds change. Because sometimes it feels like, well, this is just how I am. It's who I am. It's never going to change. And yet the dreams are in there kind of pattering away at who we are and nudging us in the direction of health and wholeness. So this is the Dream Journal, and the phones are now open, and Tony Russomanno is in the air room there, and so he will take your calls. You can dial in at 831-900-5773 whenever you're ready, and also you can still send emails on air at ksqd.org. That phone number again, in case you're just getting to your pen, 831-900-5773. This is The Squid, K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. You are listening to the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell, and we have Jan from Santa Cruz on line 1. So my guest is Maren Sinclair Hurn. Jan, hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so happy to hear your show, Catherine. I listen every week.
Oh, yay.
And I'm enjoying Maren's talk. I'm an artist as well. I'm a painter. And she's really getting right to my very soul with this guilt and shame business. I just have it with me all the time. It doesn't go away, and I deal with it, and I'm try to be an upright person, and darn, I need to cure myself somehow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wonder if do you think you have any dreams that might be relating to this that you'd like to share?
I had the most wonderful dream last week. That's why I'm calling.
Perfect.
It was a relieving dream. Okay, let me describe it. I'm walking along beside the river, and the forest is on one side, and the trees and greens. It's muted colors, but very beautiful and precious. And I'm walking through. There are a few little homesteads along the way, not kind of sparsely populated. And somehow or other, I scared one of the doggies that lived nearby, and it ran off. It was a beautiful lady, elder doggie. I could tell she was black, kind of mid-sized, with lots of gray on her muzzle and legs. And I was so sorry. I had frightened her. And along came a woman who apparently owned the doggie and was looking for her. And she said, well, just call her name. Her name is Katrina. Call her name. So I called her name 3 times. I'm sure I was saying it out loud. I live in an apartment. I'm sure my neighbors heard me yelling, Katrina, Katrina, Katrina. And then before I called her 4 times, she came running back with a big smile and her tongue lolling and just ran around me all happy, happy, happy. And I believe the feeling I got from that was so good. I awoke just feeling so good that I had done the right thing and caused some happiness.
Oh, wow. So it brought this sense of joy and relief to you, this calling her name, Katrina, Katrina.
Yes. And she wasn't frightened any longer, and I was so glad because I have children, and I feel so responsible for ills that I've done unknowingly in the past that may have harmed them, and it makes me so sad.
Oh, right. And yet here this loving, happy dog, kind of an elderly dog, but happy old lady dog.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I think sometimes the dreams are coming to bring us specific feelings, like that feeling of calling her name and her running joyfully towards you. Like I can just feel that right now.
Yes, yes.
Sense of joy and relief.
Good. Oh, good. And it is. It made me feel so happy and relieved. It relieved a lot of the pressure that I put on myself constantly. Right.
Now you talked about like being a parent and you know, wondering the impact we have on our kids. You know, we all have regrets and things that we wish we didn't do, or maybe things that we didn't know about and we wish we had. And yet there's still our birthright to be happy and loving in the present, even whatever has happened in the past. And so I love it how this dog Katrina can bring this joy, and thank you for bringing it to the show, because I feel like it's really brought me a lot of joy as well.
Oh, I'm so glad, and I thought of it because, as I say, Catherine, I listen to the show every week while I'm painting, and I just thought, this is a dream I could share with Catherine and the rest of the group.
I love it. I wonder, Maren, do you have anything you want to say to Jan here around the stream or anything else?
Oh, I just hope you pay attention to that feeling, and that you got that feeling you called out.
Yeah.
Yes.
You you didn't walk on. You called out.
Yes.
You were trying to connect with others.
Oh, this is true.
Right, and you succeeded. You really did. You know, so many times where we get an idea and a dream, and then we just don't act on that. But you did. You act.
Oh, yes, yes. And maybe I can do that in real life because I seldom share my feelings with others. I don't want to bring people down.
Oh.
There's enough downness, and people are so upset, and it goes on and on. And when I meet with people, I'm always happy to see them and upbeat, but I never share my serious inside feelings.
Yeah, and yet some of those feelings are also valid feelings. I mean, I could say all of those feelings are also valid feelings and deserve to be shared somewhere, somehow. And perhaps, perhaps one of the ways you share them is through your painting. I don't know. But,
it may be.
Yeah,
it may be.
Yeah, because we don't have to, like you said, we don't have to always be, the Debbie Downer or whatever.
No, I don't want to be that.
No.
There's enough of that in the world.
Right, and yet I want to get support for myself and for the things, because we've been talking today about shame and how when it stays hidden, that there's this intense urge to keep it hidden, and yet that's what one of the things that perpetuates the shame is by not speaking about it. Then we're so sure that we are no good and so I love it that you found a dream like this black dog. I mean, I'm just struck. There's kind of a motif where the black dog is like a kind of depression, and yet here your black dog is joyful.
yes, lovely and slathering and happy and smiling and jumping and running and enjoying the beautiful world around us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Catherine, thank you so much. And Maren, thank you. I love your sculptures. I wonder, did you have a First Friday event this week?
Yeah, yes, that was last night, and it will happen again in April.
Oh.
And where is it happening?
It's at the Tannery.
Oh, okay.
I have a studio over there, and I also have 3 pieces at the Blitzer Gallery out there at the Wrigley Building.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. I'd love to see your work.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate being on the air. Thank you.
Great. Enjoy your painting.
I shall. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. So you had open studios last night. If I'd known, I would have added that to the social media. We could have advertised a little, but there will be again.
Yes.
Every first Friday here.
Yes.
You pretty much do all the first Fridays if you're not traveling.
Yes, it's really ideal for what we don't have to scramble around rearranging a lot of stuff because it's on the wall right now. You can, it's in the hallways too. So. And
is it easy to find your studio there, or do you need to know the suite number, or is it you just walk around?
It's Studio 120, which is in the building closest to the theater.
Okay. Oh, that makes it easy because right by the theater.
Same building as the Radius Gallery.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've been to Maren's studio, and there's some amazing art. I should go again because I know it's constantly changing, depending on what is happening. So we have a question from Rick here, who is asked, what is the difference between shame versus embarrassment? Do you have any sense of that, Maren?
I don't know what Google says, but for me, shame is it's a lot deeper feeling, and embarrassment I can just say out loud, "Oh, I'm embarrassed that I made a mistake." I think they're very closely related, and as I learn about mental health, stigma is another word that is very closely related. If I have a mental illness, it's really hard to talk about it, but that's the work for many people with who deal with mental illness is to get beyond the stigma, on the shame, and know that you're a human being. Right.
Well, it's interesting you're mentioning this, that there is a new radio show on the Squid, which is called The Kooky Side of Crazy, which is I I have to listen to it some more. I talked to the host recently, and it sounds like a great idea to try to remove some of the stigma of mental challenges, or it doesn't even have to be like an ongoing illness, but just depression or shame or even embarrassment. And I wonder if embarrassment can lead to shame, like if there's a way that repeated embarrassment or repeated humiliation could actually lead to shame, so that then I don't want to share myself anymore if I'm repeatedly embarrassed.
Definitely, and I think that if you're around certain kinds of people and they aren't accepting of anything that seems to be normal, making mistakes, for example,
right?
And
Error is human.
And in nonviolent communication, I was really happy to learn that sex was a need.
Yes.
That it isn't just something that we might get along without. It is actually, a need, and we don't have to be ashamed of it.
Absolutely. It's something that's the vital part about being human.
Right.
Yeah.
Here I am.
We wouldn't be here without it. None of us would. It's so true. So I want to just give that number out again in case anybody else wants to call. The number is 831-900-5773, and the email address is onair@ksqd.org. And but I wanted to ask you, Maren, a little bit about some dream evolution. Like, since I've known you, Maren, one of the ongoing themes in the dreams has been around food. And I think this is a common theme. There's often food in dreams, and yet we're rarely ever eating it. But there's a lot of issues around food. And so I wonder if you could say a little bit about what that means to you and what your evolution with food has been in your dreams.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, I heard, this is a good one. I heard that my mom had to get the house ready for sale when I was born. My grandfather died 6 days after I was born, and my dad went back to Texas to help his mommy and with the other two kids, and my mom had to, get the house ready to sell and move to a place she didn't want to move to out of a college town in Colorado. So
with a newborn baby being you.
And so she said, Maren, I really let you cry more than I should have. So I think there might have been something deep there that I never go any place without some kind of food in my day pack to nourish me. And but I do notice that it is an obsession, and it's not a healthy obsession. So I think I'm doing much better at just not having to do food all the time in my life, and to in my just daydreams, I'll come up with, what are we going to have for dinner?
Well, talk about needs. Sexuality being a need, and food is definitely a need as well.
Yeah.
And there's a balance. It's all about balance. That's right. And there's something about, like, one of the things that I've noticed, Maren, is that for a long time you would have some dreams. I wonder if you wanted to share some of your dreams. I feel weird about sharing someone else's dreams. But the way the dreams evolve for you around food, because you're talking about your waking life issues around food. Now, how about in dreams? What have you noticed?
Well, Catherine, you're such a great dream leader. You remember more dreams than I do of myself. And what has happened lately is that I'm asking people for help.
Yeah.
That and I'm not doing it myself.
Right.
So that's a big change.
It is. And is it okay if I tell a few?
Sure. Oh yeah, please.
Well, just saying that some of the some of the early dreams, and Maren would be cooking like enormous meals for 40 people and all by herself in her dreams, and nobody was helping, and she wouldn't get to eat any of it. And this came in different guises over the years, and over time she started to find food for herself and find ways that that she can be nourished. And now she's, like she said, she's actually asking for help and asking other people to feed her. And so there's something here about nourishment that goes well beyond the physical. So there's like, yes, we need to eat. We also need a companionship. We need friends. We need interaction with other humans. We need sexuality, and we also need interaction. And so for me, there's something around food here about, well, how do I nourish myself? Am I the only one who has to take care of myself, or can I ask other people and get my needs met without having to do everything myself? And that's just been a huge evolution that I've seen in Maren, and I really applaud it. It's something we all could use more of, is to learn to ask for help, because it's always embarrassing to ask for help. It's like, oh well, I can do it myself. At least this is certainly a common theme, and has been this way for me. And yet, when somebody else asks me for help, I'm delighted. If I can help, it's really fun to help somebody else. And so I try to remind myself that I'm not pestering somebody. Actually, I'll be giving this person a gift. If I ask for help and they can do it, then they get the satisfaction of having helped a friend, or even helped a stranger, just to help somebody else, so that my asking for help is not a burden, because it's such an easy thing to fall into, of thinking, well, I can do it myself, and it's embarrassing, it's shameful to ask for help, and yet it's a gift to somebody else to ask for help.
Yeah, and it's fabulous being in the dream group. I think we've been together of like 4 years or something, more than that for some of us, and it really doesn't matter if I have a dream. I'm there as this group of people who are evolving and supporting each other.
It's quite a community.
Yeah.
Just there's something really intimate about dream sharing, and that sometimes, like in retreats, we'll just go right into the dream, and I don't know anything about the person, where they live, are they married, do they have kids, what's their job, I have no idea. But you get these amazingly intimate dreams, and it just feels like, oh wow, I can really relate to that person because I've had dreams like that, or I've had feelings like that dream inspired. And so it really brings people together to share dreams. And that's one thing about the dream journal, is I really want to inspire people to share dreams with each other. The way Jan called up and shared her dream just now, is it can be a real gift to share a dream with somebody and to share the feeling that emerged around that dream. And we don't have to understand what a dream means. I mean, I'll put that word in quotes. I don't know that dreams necessarily need to mean anything to be meaningful. And that just sharing the moment is a way of sharing yourself. And so I'm hoping that this podcast inspires people to share their dreams more, because I think it does bring people together. All right, so Maren, I wonder, do you want to... there's one phrase catching my eye here about aging and living more fully. That's what's catching my eye right now. With just a few more minutes in the show, I wonder if you'd like to say a few words about that and how dreams have helped.
It's a fact. It's called getting ready for the next generation. And so I am aging. I am not able to do things that I used to be able to do, as is my husband. And so I think the dreams are just often come through and show me who I really am, and instead of who I think I am, or I used to be.
Right? They do go deep, don't they? No matter what we think is happening on the surface, the dream is often is right on, the right into the depths.
And I guess with that, it's like, this is it. There is limited time. How am I going to go out of the world? Can I learn more from my dreams to bring more good into the world, more joy into the world, into my life? And so I think that that's how I connect it to aging.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Maren. And so how can folks get in touch with you if they have questions, or of course, you can always come to the Tannery studio on First Fridays, but if they want to contact you, we can have your web page. Do you want to give out a phone number or email or anything?
Yeah,
like
there is an email on my web page,
Okay.
so that's a good way to do it.
All right. That's Maren, Maren, Sinclair, Sinclair, Hurn, Hurn, MarenSinclairHurn.com. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Wonderful. So how about, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, I really am just amazed that every person has a different dream. And it helps me be accepting of life, that every person on earth is totally different, and we all have totally different dreams. And here we are moving forward together, hopefully.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maren. I'm so glad that you could be here in the studio and be on the show with me. Next week, we will have on the show my old dream friend, I should say another old dream friend, Lara Chacon. She says, dream work has given me a way to access, communicate with, and heal those parts of myself that I had exiled long ago because they didn't fit into the world I found myself in. I am so grateful to dream work. So similar themes going on next week. You can listen to that on the live broadcast Saturday at 10, or catch the podcast replay, which will be released as always on the Monday following the show.
Stars fading, but I linger on, dear, still craving your...
I am Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out more about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. You can email me at catherine@ksquid.org. That's KATHERINE at ksqd.org. If you have a dream you're curious about, please contact me and I will sign you up for a free introductory dream consultation. Thank you to everyone who has left a review on Apple Podcasts. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Feel free to add your own. I'd like to thank my hardworking engineer and musical creator, Rick Kleffel, Tony Russamano for answering the phones, Eva Milady for doing the editing, and to all the donors of KSQD. You can go over ksqd.org and drop us a few dollars and tell them the Dream Journal sent you. So that's all for the Dream Journal. When you wake up tomorrow morning, take a minute to look within. Do you remember a dream? Write it down and bring it to the next Dream Journal. I am Catherine Bell, and you are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz.
Trying to take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow